Stretching 5.5 kilometers into the Arabian Gulf lies one of the most audacious engineering projects the world has ever seen. Palm Jumeirah is so vast it can be seen from space. Built only from sand and rock, threatened by earthquakes, violent storms and erosion from the sea, it's remarkable that Palm Jumeirah exists at all.
God had wanted an island in the shape of a palm tree in the ocean. He'd have put one here.
Engineers must race against time and battle constantly with the forces of nature. This is a megastructure they thought could never be built. August 2001. The Arabian Gulf is a massive activity. Dubai is building one of the biggest man-made islands in the world. Engineers have a daunting task ahead of them because this is a construction like no other. All structures stand in defiance of nature. Most are built from concrete and steel, materials that are artificially strengthened. But this massive island is being constructed out at sea, using only natural materials, sand and rock. And both start eroding the moment they hit the water. For project manager Bob Berger, it's a daunting task.
Any construction is in defiance to nature, and this is an extreme example of that. Every day, we're trying to prevent the destruction of what we built.
The Middle East, Dubai, the jewel of the Arab world. A kingdom built on the profits of its oil reserves. This tiny emirate, twice the size of London, is one of the richest places in the Arab world. But it hasn't always been like this. 50 years ago, Dubai was a trading town built on a creek. Over half a century later, it's been transformed. Now it's famous for gold, trade, and oil. But there's a problem on the horizon. By 2016, the oil will have run out. It'll mean disaster for the economy. Dubai must find a new source of income. The Crown Prince, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, has a $2 billion plan to save his country. He's ordered his kingdom to transform itself into the world's #1 luxury tourist destination. And the Crown Prince has a history of getting what he wants. To put Dubai on the map, he's already built one of the most luxurious hotels in the world, the Burj Al Arab, created top-class golf and race courses, and is planning the world's tallest building. But now, the Crown Prince's big idea is mass tourism. Dubai seems the perfect spot. It offers sun almost every day of the year, glorious beaches and azure seas. 5 million tourists visit here annually. Now they want to triple this to 15 million. But there's a problem. The coastline is a mere 72 kilometers long. Not enough space for all these extra people. But how do you make your coastline longer? The Crown Prince's plan is to build a massive island, and he wants it done by 2006. What better for a paradise island than the shape of a palm tree? 5.5 kilometers across, it increases the coastline by a whopping 56 kilometers, 9 times more beachfront than the circular island. But no one has ever built an island this size and shape before.
When I first heard of this project, I couldn't believe it. I thought it's incredible.
The extraordinary plan is to build a city at sea. The Palm will be covered with luxury villas, shopping malls and restaurants. The crescent-shaped breakwater, linked to the Palm by a tunnel, will hold 22 hotels. The easiest way to build such a massive structure at sea is to use concrete and steel. But this doesn't fit with the Crown Prince's plans. His idea creates an added challenge. To blend in with its surroundings, the island must be made entirely from natural materials. The palm-shaped island will only be made from sand, 24 million cubic meters of it. All that protects this from the sea will be a breakwater, 5.5 million cubic meters of rock. Together, there's enough sand and rock to build a 2.5 meter high wall circling the entire world.
This may be the only place in the world where something like this could be done, to have the vision and then the courage to carry it through.
To make this audacious plan a reality, Dubai needs the best engineers on the planet. A worldwide search leads to Northern Europe and Holland. Experts in land reclamation, the Dutch have increased Holland's landmass by 35%. The Dutch team are immediately booked for the job. The first thing they must prove is that it's possible to build an island out in the Arabian Gulf and that it'll stay there. They know the only way to keep the island in position is to surround it by a breakwater. But just how big does this sea defense need to be? To find out, researchers must calculate the strength of Dubai's storms, the height of the waves and tidal surges, and what effect global warming will have in raising the sea level. The biggest fear for all coastal engineers are massive freak waves. These waves build up over long distances, pushed by persistent winds and large currents. They destroy nearly everything in their path. But the island builders are lucky. The research team has worked out that the Arabian Gulf is the perfect place to build this megastructure. On average, the Gulf is only 30 meters deep, and it's only 160 kilometers wide. It's too short and too shallow for catastrophic waves to build up. But the team know they will get Shamal storms. Every winter, these intense northerly storms bring high winds and 2-meter waves that will batter the structure. Researchers must also factor in the worst-case scenario, the storm that hits once in 100 years. The team do the final calculations. To protect this fragile island, the breakwater must be at least 3 meters high above the waves and 11.5 kilometers long. But just when the engineers thought they were ahead, they're given another challenge. The developers in charge of this megastructure want to start construction immediately, before the research is complete. It's a huge gamble that could come back to bite them. If they haven't got it right, the whole structure might be washed away. August 2001, the breakwater construction team take to the sea. They've only 2 years to build this massive 11.5 kilometer sea wall. But just as they get started, disaster strikes. September the 11th, 2001. The World Trade Center in New York is attacked in a brutal act of terrorism. Overnight, tourism to the Middle East stops. But work has already started on the Palm Island. Will millions of dollars and months of research all be in vain? September 2001. In the wake of terrorist attacks in the United States, travel abroad halts abruptly. Fear and panic spread. People are too frightened to travel, particularly to the Middle East. It could have disastrous consequences for Dubai's ambitious plans. Work has already begun on building one of the biggest man-made structures in the world. A giant palm-shaped island that'll transform Dubai into a world-class holiday destination. The massive 11.5 kilometer breakwater is under construction. Both the breakwater team and the Palm Island team are assembled to make the dream a reality. But 9/11 throws the plans into turmoil. The 1,200 foreign engineers fear their lives could be in danger. They make contingency plans to leave the country. In the meantime, they're advised not to go into Western hotels and bars. Business slumps. Beaches are empty. Restaurants deserted. No one wants to be here. For 3 months, Dubai grinds to a halt. The sun is setting on the Middle East's tourist industry. But the job must carry on, whatever the political climate. The oil reserves are running out. The Crown Prince stands firm. The developers are now committed to the build. Millions of dollars have been spent hiring the world's top reclamation. They've worked on huge projects, like Hong Kong's Chek Lap Kok Airport, Holland's North Sea Wall, and Singapore's industrial centre. But no one has reclaimed a structure this size or shape before. By November 2001, the race to build this megastructure is really underway. 9 barges, 15 tugboats, 4 dredgers, 30 heavy land-based machines, and 10 floating cranes are needed to construct the massive seawall. For the breakwater team, their first step in this awesome challenge is to build up the sea floor. 3 massive dredgers take up a thin layer of sand from the barren seabed nearby. Then they dump this sand in a layer up to 7.4 meters thick. This must be done while the sea is at its calmest. To keep it in place, barge loads of rubble are dropped on top of this. This bed of rock will raise the breakwater from 4 meters below sea level to 3 meters above. It's the beginning of the sea defense, without which the island cannot exist. The sloping layers take out the force of the waves as they hit the wall. But the sand and rubble layer is only the base, the core of the breakwater. What really creates the protection is the outer armor. For this, engineers need vast lumps of rock. Each piece of rock weighs up to 6 tons. It's these massive boulders that will protect the fragile island from the destructive force of the sea. But sourcing enough rock is an enormous task. Excavation teams spring into action in 16 quarries across the United Arab Emirates. The 11.5-kilometer breakwater needs a lot of rock. 5.5 million cubic meters of the stuff, enough to build 2 Egyptian pyramids. Rock is blasted out of the mountains night and day. Loaded onto dozens of lorries, it begins the arduous journey to the coast. Here, the rocks are immediately piled onto barges and shipped straight to the construction site. It takes less than 24 hours for each rock to travel from quarry to breakwater. 24/7, this floating conveyor belt delivers up to 40,000 tons of rock per day, nearly the same weight as 2 aircraft carriers. The density, size, strength, and permeability of each boulder is crucial. This stone wall must last for centuries. There's no concrete or steel holding these rocks in place. These vast boulders are not just dumped in position, graded by size and weight, it's the sheer volume that keeps them here. Positioned by cranes, each rock must interlock with the next to withstand the full force of the sea. Constant checks are needed to ensure the breakwater is in the right place and the rocks are stable. The only sure way to do this is to send in divers to pinpoint and check every meter of it. Nothing about this megastructure is left to chance. Any movement could cause the rock to crack and the wall to disintegrate, leaving the whole project vulnerable. A detailed study of the breakwater rocks below the water is noted. Divers are looking for signs of fatigue on these 6-ton boulders. Their fear is that some will have splintered or been knocked out of place by strong waves when they were put here. Every 27 meters, a diver surfaces to record the location of the rocks they're checking. The reading is taken from a man based on land. But so far, this section of the breakwater stands firm. January 2002. 6 months after work began, a large section of breakwater stands proud 4.5 kilometers out at sea. For everyone involved, it's an exciting time as the dream becomes reality.
When the first breakwater came up, of course, we all went out there. We had to stand on it. This tiny little precipice of rock in the middle of the ocean, and look back at Dubai and say that this is the beginnings of our job.
It's a momentous achievement for the team, but there's still over 10 kilometers of this vast sea wall to build. The engineers are jubilant, but their happiness is short-lived. Winter is closing in. With a schedule of only 2 years to complete the breakwater, the last thing anyone needs is a delay. Winter in the Middle East brings shamals, great storms with winds of up to 56 kilometers per hour. Wind shifts are sudden,